Africa This Week, a new program that features and analyzes all the top news and events that took place across the continent during the week, is coming on Home Digital FM. The 1-hour Week in Review program will exhibit experts and commentators to look back on the news of the past 7 days and break down stories and issues across Africa that everyone is talking about. Africa This Week will feature Guest of the Week and engage people at the center of every key news, every story, in the best interactive, entertaining and informative way possible. Africa This Week on Home Digital FM 99.9 every Saturday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. starting from next Saturday, October 22nd. Africa This Week with me, Serif Bojang Jr. See you there.
Intelligence and Security of Africa, Cissa, held its West Africa meeting in the Gambia hosted by Sis Gambia. The meeting took place at the Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara Conference Center starting from the 21st to the 24th November 2022. The event brought together dignitaries from far and wide, including political leaders, religious, security chiefs and traditional leaders. The theme of the meeting is, amid regional volatilities, we need to close capacity gaps and enhance coordination to effectively counter terrorism in West Africa and Sahel region. In welcoming the delegates, the Director General of the State Intelligence Service, SIS, Alhaji Usman Sow, welcomed the delegates and called for joint efforts to fight terrorism.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, ably represented by the Deputy Speaker, Cabinet members here present, ably represented in the persons of the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Interior, the Minister of Higher Education and Research, the Minister of Information Infrastructure and Digital Economy, Your Excellency, the former Vice President, head of the United Democratic Party, and all other political parties here present, head of the Nigerian National Intelligence Agency, His Excellency Ambassador Abubakar Rufai, the outgoing chair of Cissa Africa, Chief of the General Intelligence for the Presidency of the Holy Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Excellency Khalid Ali bin Humaydan, our special guest of honor for this occasion, Excellencies, Chairperson of Cissa, General Kamal Abbas, ably represented at this meeting for the Egyptian Intelligence Service, and the current chair of Cissa, the Executive Secretary of Cissa, representatives of ECOWAS Commission, Director Generals of Sister Services of Senegal, Mali, who are also current Vice Chair of Cissa West Africa, the Director General of Cote d'Ivoire, Director General of Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, Benin, Guinea-Bissau, and the other directors of ECOWAS from Sierra Leone, Liberia, Burkina Faso, here ably represented, and Ghana, here ably represented by their high members of their services. The other members of Cissa Bureau and Troika from Botswana, who is the incoming chair of Cissa, our brothers from Ethiopia, and our much valued partners from Europe, Asia, and other parts of the world, including Spain, France, as well as far as Jordan. The Secretary to Cabinet, permanent secretaries, the National Security Advisor, and colleague service chiefs, former members of the intelligence service, in the persons of former DGs and directors here present, regional governors of West Coast and Lower River Region, the Lord Mayor of KMC and Banjul, the President of the Bar Association, members of the National Human Rights Commission, the Imam Ratib of Banjul, Christian Council, and other venerable religious leaders, district chiefs, heads of government departments, parastatals, venerable religious representations, members of the civil society, and members of the press. I say a good morning to all of you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to begin by stating that it is indeed with great sense of honor and pleasure that I welcome you to this meeting. I feel most obliged and humbled by your attendance, whether you have traveled from near here in the Gambia or from far and wide across the globe to be with the SIS at this auspicious occasion today. I and the distinguished men and women of the SIS are humble and deeply appreciative of your presence. By the same token, allow me to also from the onset express our most profound gratitude to His Excellency Adam Barrow, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, for approving this conference. Similarly, allow me to also use this singular occasion to thank members of the Gambia government, be they ministries, departments, or agencies, and most importantly, the people of the Gambia, from all shades of life, for the immense support and trust in the SIS as we continue to undertake deep and profound reforming, restructuring, recalibrating, recasting, and repositioning of the SIS as the premier intelligence service of the Gambia that can be looked up to as serious, professional, credible, and above all, worthy of the trust of the Gambian people. Mr. Chairperson, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that said, allow me to now proceed onto the theme of today's conference. The conference we are opening today comes amid multifaceted and multi-pronged challenges facing the West Africa region, but also our continent and other parts of the world. Primarily threats linked to terrorism, hence the theme. Amid regional volatilities, the need to close capacity gaps and enhance coordination to effectively counter terrorism in the West Africa and Sahel region. Excellencies and distinguished guests, the issue of terrorism before us today are increasing, the scourge of which seeks to destroy, fragment, and break down societies along with the very concept of nation states. These objectives are pursued by extremists for the sake of promoting extremist ideology, which preaches hatred for the other, obstructs everything geared towards pushing humanity forward, and disrupt all investment geared toward achieving the aspired development aspiration. The West Africa and Sahel region is now becoming the epicenter of terrorist activities with devastating consequences affecting our collective peace and security. Manifest in cross-border challenges, insecurity, spillover effects, rising humanitarian challenges, food insecurity, and palpable public concerns. The situation is further complicated by transnational organized crime, illegal exploitation of resources, maritime piracy, conflicts between pastoralists and farmers, the proliferation of arms through porous and largely unsecured borders. Armed terrorists, ATGs, and organized criminal groups have taken advantage of this situation to merge, coordinate, collaborate, and carry out their nefarious activities, particularly in the West Africa and Sahel region. This is what lies at the crux of today's meeting, because these are the regional volatilities that needs to be taken head on through coordinated efforts and the closing of the capacity gaps. To take on the challenges in the area of need, capacity gaps, geographical challenges, it is instructive that training, logistics, and extra budgets are allocated by governments, regional, continental, and international institutions in the form of both hard and soft wherewithals to the military, security, and intelligence services of the region, so as to effectively combat the menace of terrorism and violent extremism. In addition, Excellencies, to effectively combat terrorism amid the regional volatilities and close the capacity gaps, it is imperative that the drivers of terrorism and violent extremism are addressed through other means such as economic development, youth employment, open governance space, and political as well as other development interventions. At the national level, we must continue to bolster our national security responsibilities on the premises that security is everybody's business, and in this vein, adopt and encourage a whole society and whole government approach involving political, religious, civil society, as well as other relevant national stakeholders in finding solutions to addressing the challenges of terrorism and violent extremism currently plaguing the West Africa and Sahel region. That said, Excellencies, there is the imperative to also pay attention to other existing and emerging threats, such as cybersecurity challenges or cyber insecurity challenges, food security challenges or food insecurity challenges, fake pharmaceuticals, illegal migration, unemployment, among others. While we pay attention to violent extremism, we should also not lose sight that these other challenges are in existence and need also the attention of actors in a collaborated, coordinated manner. Again, as I already said earlier, the terrorist, extremist groups are coordinating, they are collaborating, they are bringing their resources together. Therefore, actors in government, regional, continental, and international institutions cannot afford but to coordinate their acts and activities. Thus, in conclusion, Mr. Chair, distinguished personalities, excellencies here present, allow me to say that as we continue to dialogue, share experience, and exchange views, let the matter of human security be inclusive in our deliberations in order to achieve a comprehensive understanding of the phenomena of terrorism and violent extremism. On that note, I wish to thank you for your kind attention and pray for fruitful deliberations in this couple of days together under the roof of the Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara Conference Center, named after the first president of the Republic of the Gambia, a man who has been fondly and truly referred to as a man of peace. On that note, I thank you for your kind attention.
Zainab Ali Koto, the Executive Secretary of Cissa, thanked the Gambia for the hospitality accorded to them and calls on all to join the crusade for a peaceful West Africa and the Sahel.
DGs of Cissa members are representative of ECOWAS Commission, Mr. Isaac Armstrong, senior government officials of the Republic of the Gambia, members of the clergy, religious leaders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I wish to express sincere appreciation to Your Excellency Usman Sawi, Director General of the State Intelligence Service, and the government of the Republic of the Gambia for the warm reception and excellent courtesies accorded to my delegation and myself since our arrival in this beautiful city of Banjul. Equally, allow me to express appreciation to Cissa West Africa Region member services, members of the Troika, for their continued support to Cissa Secretariat throughout the years. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I'm honored to address this workshop meeting of the Cissa West Africa region held under the theme, amid regional volatilities, the need to close capacity gaps and enhance coordination to effectively counter terrorism in West Africa and the Sahel region. This workshop meeting is taking place at a time that our region is being described as not only the epicenter of violent extremism and terrorism, but also criminal activity and foreign as organized criminal groups. Not only do these groups pose a serious security threat to West Africa, but also to the continent. The strong link between violent extremism and terrorism and transnational organized crimes in recent times is leading to the existence of sophisticated networks and cooperation between terror and criminal groups. As we all know, terrorist groups thrive and capitalize on existing political, social, economic, and security vulnerabilities and challenges. It is no secret that terrorist groups, just like intelligence organizations, gather, collate, and analyze information, either to improve their existing strategies or to come up with new strategies. These, therefore, underscores the imperative of continued intelligence sharing and enhanced security cooperation among member services, as this remains our weapon in fighting the scourge of violent extremism, terrorism, and other threats facing our region and our continent. While military interventions remain key in fighting violent extremism and terrorism, it is also important for member states to align their national and regional military strategies with socio-economic and development policies, including addressing governance issues in tackling these threats. By not addressing the governance and development challenges, terror and criminal groups will continue to exploit them in order to win the hearts and minds of disenfranchised and vulnerable communities. It is my hope that this workshop will study, revisit, and assess the existing regional counter-terrorism initiatives and strategies in order to identify the gaps with the aims of enhancing the region's counter-terrorism measures. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, allow me to inform you that the 18th Cissa Conference will be hosted by the Director of Intelligence and Security Service of the Republic of Botswana from the 29th January 2023 to the 4th of February 2023 in Gaborone, Botswana. In this regard, invitation letters signed by His Excellency the Director General of the DIS have all been sent to member services, including our strategic partners. The Secretariat is in regular contact with DRS to ensure the successful holding of the conference, and we look forward to seeing you all there. I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Marco Antonio Da, representing the ECOWAS presidents, gave statistics of deaths that took place in West Africa due to terrorism.
On behalf of the President of the ECOWAS Commission, His Excellency Dr. Umar Aliou Touré, who is unavoidably absent due to pressing regional security issues, please permit me to start by expressing my sincere appreciation to His Excellency, the President of the Gambia, Adama Barrow, and the good people of the Gambia, the smiling coast of Africa, as it is popularly known, for the usual warm welcome, the unparalleled hospitality accorded to delegates, and the exquisite facilities rolled out to host this meeting. May I also highly commend the Director General, State Intelligence Service, the Gambia, His Excellency Ambassador Usman Sow, for convening the Cissa West Africa Regional Workshop and Meeting, and for the invitation extended to ECOWAS to be a part of this auspicious event. I would also like to pay homage to the cream of chiefs of intelligence and security services across Africa here present for your pioneering work in the field of intelligence and security, conflict analysis, and security governance, which is a drive towards stability, prosperity, human dignity in our region and beyond. The importance of this meeting cannot be overemphasized in a period like this, when acts of terrorism and violent extremism in this decade came strongly, more than ever witnessed in the corridors of West Africa, thereby costing our communities loss of innocent lives, damage of properties, and displacement of people, amongst other grievous effects. This quagmire remains a major threat to enhance other human development objectives and thus aggravating humanitarian challenges. For so long, our societies have remained vulnerable and conducive for terrorist organizations to easily radicalize youths, men and women, due to socioeconomic grievances such as poverty, unemployment, unequal distribution of national and natural resources, inadequate opportunities for education, social delinquencies, frustration and deprivation. In addition, poor family values, the exposure to misguided print and electronic media information, the growing negative impact of internet, social media platforms, and misguided religious doctrines, among others, are factors that accentuate violent extremism and terrorism. According to Global Terrorism Index 2022, Sub-Saharan Africa has so far accounted for 48% of global terrorism deaths. 4 out of the 10 countries with the largest increase in deaths from terrorism in Sub-Saharan Africa are from West Africa, and they are Niger, Mali, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Burkina Faso. And 3 out of these 4 countries are also from West Africa, which indicates that 75% of the deaths resulting from terrorism is from our region. The proximity to the Sahel, which serves as safe haven for terrorists, as well as platform for other illicit trafficking activities, poses a big threat to the ECOWAS region. Our vast porous geographical borders also likely contribute to the infiltration and spread of terrorism and other illicit trafficking activities associated with it. The Sahel is recorded as the home to the world's fastest growing and most deadly terrorist groups' haven. 60% of the Sahelian countries are from West Africa. According to the African Center for the Study and Research of Terrorism, popularly known as CAETS, in their report from the month of July 2022 till date, terrorists have struck at least 59 times, which has resulted in 787 deaths. These deaths mostly occurred in Burkina Faso and Mali. These occurrences show a rapid escalation from previous years and the negative impact and increase in internally displaced persons, or those who become refugees in neighboring countries with untold social and economic consequences. Indeed, terrorist attacks in the past few years have killed more than any epidemic disease recorded, thus making terrorism the single most deadly security threat to West Africa. Violent extremism is also escalating in West Africa's coastal states. The coastal states of Benin and Togo were attacked a couple of months ago. And you may recall that in the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire, there were attacks in 2016. This implies that aside the four frontline countries of Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Nigeria attacked by terrorists, cumulatively, 7 out of 15 member states of ECOWAS have witnessed acts of terrorism, and this is indeed a huge concern for us. Evidence is emerging that jihadist activities within and through coastal states are enabling them to fund, staff, and run their logistics mechanisms. It is thus expedient that before such operations are increased and expanded, a thorough analysis of the spillover should be conducted. In furtherance, there is need to look beyond the spread of attacks and understand the covert activities, including how violent extremists work with illicit actors to mobilize resources and their supply chain. This is where the region highly counts on you as experts to employ the best of your skills and, more importantly, freely exchange actionable intelligence and information amongst all stakeholders. ECOWAS has established various legal mechanisms and normative frameworks to deal with West Africa's security challenges. With particular reference to insurgency and terrorism, Article 3 of the ECOWAS Protocol for Conflict Prevention, Management, Resolution, Peacekeeping and Security of 1999 stipulates that combating terrorism is an objective of the regional body. Another initiative is the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering, GIABA, which is mandated to strengthen the capacity of member states to prevent and control insurgent and terrorist financing in the region. Notwithstanding these laudable initiatives by ECOWAS and contemporary exploits of other sub-regional establishments in the form of regional cooperation, effective regional counterterrorism and counterinsurgency have been grappled by certain challenges in West Africa. In deepening the resolve to curb the menace, the heads of states and governments of West Africa adopted a counterterrorism strategy and a political declaration in Yamoussoukro, Côte d'Ivoire in February 2013. The strategy has 3 core pillars, which are prevent, pursuit, and reconstruction. Since the adoption of the strategy 9 years ago, the ECOWAS Commission has been involved in implementing its provisions, especially the first pillar, which is prevention. This implies all measures taken to anticipate and deter acts of terrorism before they occur. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, eliminating the security threat posed by insurgents can be regarded as an immediate priority for all states in Africa, and we should be better equipped to do that. The hard approach-based counterterrorism measures have so far proved insufficient in stopping the spread of violent terrorism, as they leave the root causes of this phenomena unaddressed. For us to properly address the issues, a preventive approach is the cheapest and best solution. This is why the heads of states and government of West Africa, in their 55th ordinary session, underlined the need to strengthen direct exchange of information and intelligence among member states as a preventive measure for the effective fight against terrorism. While the ECOWAS Commission remains committed to supporting these initiatives, we are of the view that both state and non-state actors should stand in solidarity in the fight against terrorism. ECOWAS shall continue to count on the support of the African Union and United Nations, as well as other development partners. We are also in close collaboration with the Economic Community of Central African States, ECAS, to see how we can address the root causes of terrorism and other security-related matters which have bedeviled our societies. This symbolic relationship we are cultivating is in accordance with the Lomé Declaration of 2018 at the Joint Summit of ECOWAS and ECAS, heads of states and governments on peace, security, stability, and the fight against terrorism and violent extremism. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as an organization that promotes regional security, ECOWAS has a mandate to ensure that our member states maintain a coordinated approach on security-related matters. We are more than ever committed to give priority to early warning mechanisms and preventive diplomacy that will address risk factors before conflicts break out. Equally, we are determined to strengthen the ECOWAS rapid response capability through the operationalization of the regional standby force. The good turnout of this event from within West Africa and our colleagues and friends from other parts of the continent attest that we are all deeply concerned and willing to tackle the scourge of terrorism. However, what is much more important is for us to collectively transform our will to action in the right direction. For us in ECOWAS, you can be rest assured that we shall leave no stone unturned to support our member states where needs be to cripple acts of terrorism in our region, and we are also open to learn from best practices and cooperate with other countries and regional organizations in the continent. In conclusion, there is no doubt that as security practitioners, the strategies and deliberations we shall come up with in the next 2 days will positively impact West Africa and beyond. And on this note, I wish us all fruitful deliberations. Thank you for your rapt attention, and God bless you.
Ambassador Abubakar Rufai, head of Nigerian Intelligence Agency, hailed Director Sow for his tremendous job in making intelligence a top priority in the sub-region.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, Badara Aliyu Joof, and I will seek your indulgence to allow me to stand on the protocol so long and as amended by the Master of Ceremony established by my brother Usman Sow, the Director General of SIS, and say a very good morning to you all. Let me begin by congratulating my brother Usman Sow, DG SIS and Chairman of Cissa, West Africa, for successfully convening this important meeting. It could not have come at a better time than now, when the region is facing renewed and coordinated efforts by terrorist groups affiliate of Al-Qaeda and ISIS to expand their operations and footholds. Let me also, Brother Usman, thank you and your team for the wonderful reception I and members of my delegation enjoyed since our arrival. Our region is indeed experiencing volatilities of a complex nature, which require enhanced coordination based on well-thought-out strategies to be addressed. The theme of our workshop today is, therefore, well articulated. It will help us engage in a structured and robust discussion and come up with an implementable set of tasks to be carried out individually and collectively towards achieving the objective of stopping the existential threats of terrorism afflicting countries across the West Africa and Sahel. Let me, before concluding, remind us that the world, or rather countries, big and small, are not without experience and knowledge when it comes to counterterrorism. What emerged as the best lessons we've learned is not just the coordinated deployment of resources, but also sustained collaboration in virtually everything we do as intelligence and security services, the armed forces, and the entire apparatus of government in the deployment of kinetic and non-kinetic endeavors and efforts to address the root causes, vulnerabilities of communities, including de-radicalization programs, legislation of appropriate and adequate laws, and indeed capacity and will to enforce the laws, and so on and so forth. It is in this context that I want to thank Brother Usman for his wisdom in inviting some of our partners, and in this, let me mention special mention of the chief host, the DG of GIP, and all other partners here present, for finding time to be here, and I thank you and thank them for accepting the invitation. I wish us fruitful deliberations, and thank you, and God bless.
The chief guest of the event, Khalid Ali bin Humaydan, Chief of General Intelligence of the Holy Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, hailed the Gambia for being a pioneer in the fight against terrorism.
Mr. Vice President, my dear Head of Services, my esteemed colleagues, and distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the beginning, I'm going to make it short. In this beautiful day and this beautiful country, I am here to convey the best wishes and regards of my leadership through you to your leadership and your people. I am also here to convey our best wishes and total solidarity to the service in the African continent in general, and the service who are with us today. I am here to thank my brother Uthman for the generous and warm welcome and the invitation to begin with. I won't repeat the useful speeches given by distinguished colleagues, but I want you to take one thing from you, from this meeting, that you have true brothers, true friends in the other continent, in Asia, who wish you well and willing to work with you to preserve your security, stability, and to ensure that we're all together on the right path to prosperity. We feel sometimes we are the underdog in this uphill battle, but even the underdog can beat the obstacle. Just like a few minutes ago, Saudi Arabia won the game against Argentina.
Oh, congratulations. Congratulations.
Something irrelevant to our important work, but it's a good reminder that we can come over obstacles if we put our heads into it and hands together. So I wish you the best, and thank you, Gambia, for bringing us to meet those distinguished guests. Assalamu alaikum.
In declaring the meeting open, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, Badra Aliou Diouf, highlighted the stance of his government in fighting terrorism and called for support for the youth folk because, he said, if the youths are not supported and motivated, it can lead them into terrorism and its related acts.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I was telling the DGSIS of the Gambia, I'm not sure whether I should read the speech, given what everybody has been saying. You know, in few words, I should just come and say, I declare on behalf of the President, the conference open. But if I do that, I'll be in breach of the mandate that the President has given me to come and read his speech to our distinguished guests. So I stand here on the mandate of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, to deliver the speech, his speech, not mine. So when you hear my government, it's him, not me. That at least you know that he's the one speaking by proxy. The Honorable Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, deputizing for the Speaker of the National Assembly. The representative of the Chief Justice, Honorable Cabinet colleagues, the Special Representative of ECOWAS, Director Generals of SIS, the Chairman of CISCA, the Special Guest of Honor from Saudi Arabia, representatives from Botswana, Ethiopia, and Egypt, the Executive Secretary of ECOWAS, honorable members of the National Assembly, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, venerable religious leaders, representatives of political parties and political party leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The speech reads thus: it is indeed an honor to deliver this statement on behalf of the Gambian people and my own government on this auspicious occasion of Cissa West Africa meeting. I convey to you all my government best wishes and warmest regards as well as wishes for a fruitful deliberation in your meetings. The Gambia attaches great importance and value to our continued collaboration and cooperation, especially in the fight against terrorism and violent extremism. Terrorism and violent extremism is a serious threat and worrying concern. We are increasingly witnessing frequent terrorist attacks that have plagued our continent in general and the sub-region in particular. Therefore, preventing and combating this phenomenon is a clear and collective duty of all states. The situation we are faced with, especially in this sub-region, is an urgent one and requires coordinated and collaborated actions in closing the gaps that are usually being exploited by the terrorists and violent extremist groups or organizations. This so-called jihadism is a raw ideological rendition rooted in a theological creed gone too far that defies sacramental logic. Unfortunately, terrorism has devastating impact on the lives of most vulnerable people. In some instances, the crisis continues with serious consequences for thousands of our people. These terrorist attacks are often followed by government responses, usually military. However, the military strategy is dictating the increased military responses appear to have encouraged some of the terrorist groups rather than deter them. It is imperative that we consider revisiting our military response strategies and, where possible, initiate other sustainable alternative measures to counter this menace threatening our collective peace and security. Marginalization, misery, and other human rights deficits seem to breed atmospheres in which extremist leaders and agents can recruit young people for violent actions. These young people, comprising the bulk of our respective populations, are the target of the violent extremist groups. And these are desperate and feel deeply frustrated by our neglect and have little hope for the future. And therefore, they fall prey to these extremist groups. Generally, they are not included, for example, in housing, education, employment benefits, and thereby fostering deep resentment from them and a motivation to seek alternative sources of income. This, in part, calls into question our educational system. All of us, or most of us, particularly in the sub-region, speak fluent English, speak fluent French, and speak fluent Portuguese. An ironic variation of social Darwinism. In our educational curriculum, French, English, Portuguese are compulsory subjects, whilst agriculture, peace and security studies, technology and science are optional. No wonder we speak fluent English, we speak fluent Portuguese, we speak fluent French, but we go hungry and we go violent and we lack in technological development. Despite the challenging context due to our regional volatilities, we can only win this long and painful fight against terrorism and violent extremism if we cooperate and coordinate. To do so, we must collectively, as a region and individual states, come up with policies and strategies to address the root causes of the challenges that impact on our shared peace and security. For the terrorists attack peace, attack happiness, and attack development. To complement the already investments made in security in our respective contexts, there is that need to promote and strengthen the protection of social rights, such as providing quality education, relevant education, gainful employment, decent housing, as well as social services and affordable healthcare. These policies have the benefit of ensuring the inclusion of everyone in society, thus reduce neglect, marginalization, public resentment, a conducive condition for spreading radical ideas. And I have no doubt, collectively, we can do it as Obama said, but we should go beyond, yes, we can, and say, yes, we did it. Peace and security is everyone's business and requires the collaborated coordination of states and non-state actors to protect our institutions, our people, our democracy, our peace, our stability, and therefore our development. Thus, as no state is immune from the effects of the phenomena of terrorism, so must we encourage joint approaches and enhance cooperation to address the root causes before they hatch. Some of these approaches may include the sharing of timely and actionable intelligence, coordinated strategies in order to close the capacity gaps between our services and state institutions. Therefore, participatory local policies and the promotion of favorable socio-economic conditions that improve human growth in local communities should be regarded as an effective means of addressing the conditions that are conducive to spreading, those extremist ideas. You don't roll the wheels of development on serendipity. It has to be with some discipline, tough.
The event, which brought together dignitaries from across the world, will avail the participants to share knowledge and experience relating to intelligence. For Membe Kering TV, I am Aliu Fall.
Africa This Week, a new program that features and analyzes all the top news and events that took place across the continent during the week, is coming on Home Digital FM. The 1-hour Week in Review program will exhibit experts and commentators to look back on the news of the past 7 days and break down stories and issues across Africa that everyone is talking about. Africa This Week will feature Guest of the Week and engage people at the center of every key news, every story, in the best interactive, entertaining and informative way possible. Africa This Week on Home Digital FM 99.9 every Saturday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. starting from next Saturday, October 22nd. Africa This Week with me, Serif Bojang Jr. See you there.